Well, good morning and welcome back to the podcast. This morning, I'd like to talk about prayer and meditation, recovering the lost wisdom of alignment. So in the modern world, both prayer and meditation are often misunderstood. Stripped from their deeper roots, these sacred practices have been reduced to tools for personal gain. Prayer is wish-making and meditation is stress relief. But in their original forms, both in the Hebrew Christian and Buddhist traditions, prayer and meditation were never meant to be escape routes or empty rituals. They were designed as practices of alignment, remembering what is true, who we are, and how we ought to live. This essay explores the ancient meanings of tefillah, prosuke, and sati sampajanya. Prayer, contemplation, meditation in Hebrew, Greek, and Sanskrit. Well, Pali technically. Arguing that the lost heart of both prayer and meditation is the same. A lived, embodied awareness that becomes visible in our actions, in all of our daily actions. Tefillah. Prayer as reflection and realignment. In the Hebrew tradition, the word for prayer is tefillah. But this word doesn't mean to ask or to speak. It comes from the root palal, which means to judge, to examine, to reflect. That means prayer, at its core, is not simply communication with God, but self-examination in the presence of God. It is an act of remembering who you are, what you are called to, and how to return to that calling. It is no accident that tefillah is woven into daily life. Deuteronomy 6:7 commands us to remember God's words. When you sit in your house, when you walk by the way, when you lie down, and when you rise, prayer is not confined to sacred places or certain hours. It is a way of being. True prayer is not performance, but presence. It's not about speaking the right words, but about becoming the kind of person whose life itself is an offering. So prosuke, Greek prayer as orientation of the heart. When the New Testament writers speak of prayer, the Greek word they most often use is prosuke. The word combines pros, towards, and euke, a vow or desire. It literally means to move oneself toward a vow, to orient the whole self towards a deeper purpose, towards God, towards source. Paul's famous exhortation to pray without ceasing, 1 Thessalonians 5:17, is often misread as an impossible demand, but it makes perfect sense when prayer is understood as orientation, not repetition. To pray constantly is to live in constant awareness, to carry that divine alignment into every action, every word, every thought. In this light, prayer is not a practice that begins and ends. It is a posture of the soul. It is what the psalmist meant when he said, I have set the Lord always before me. Psalm 16, line 8. Sati sampajanya. Buddhist mindfulness and clear comprehension. Across the world in early Buddhist teachings, we find an astonishingly similar concept in the practice of sati sampajanya, or in Sanskrit, it's smriti sampanya. Don't quote me, it's really early here. Often translated as mindfulness and clear comprehension, I would go so far as to say it's to remember and to carry all of these truths, these actions, this orientation into every aspect of your daily life, every thought, every act, everything, even in the pause. This phrase refers to a way of being that is present, awake, and discerning. Same as the term zazen. If you break it down, it doesn't mean sitting on a cushion. That's the maybe shikantaza. But zazen is to bring this awareness to everyday life. Zazen being the Japanese equivalent of sati sampajanya. Sati literally means to remember. It is the act of bringing awareness to what is happening, both inside and out. And sampajanya is clear knowing, a deep understanding of the meaning and purpose of one's actions, and how this truth and this alignment can ripple. Together, they describe a mode of living where each action is done with full awareness of its significance. Not full awareness, but just full of awareness that cause and effect, not always immediate, but knowing that your cause, your action, your thought, or your lack of action will have consequences, will have ripples through the universe. And that's the full awareness of its significance. To walk, to eat, to speak, or to work with sati sampajanya is to engage in life not passively, but with clarity and care. This is not unlike what Deuteronomy teaches. Quote, "You shall write these words on the doorposts of your house and on your gates." End quote. Awareness is not confined to the temple or the cushion. It permeates the daily fabric of life. The lost message in both traditions. Over time, both traditions lost some of this essence. Prayer became something to say and meditation something to do. But originally, both were meant to form us, shape us. Prayer was about remembering God's covenant and walking in that memory. Meditation was about remembering reality and acting in wisdom. Both were practices of integration, not disconnection. Neither were meant to remain private, internalized experiences. They were meant to shape who we are in the world. This is why James writes, quote, "Faith without works is dead," end quote. That's James 2:26. This is why Jesus says, quote, "You will know them by their fruits," end quote. Matthew 7:16. This is why Paul thanks God that the Romans, quote, "faith is being proclaimed throughout the world," end quote. Romans 1:8. Faith is not invisible. Like mindfulness, faith manifests through presence, through action, through fruit, through deeds, through works. Prayer as a living alignment. The real purpose of prayer and meditation is not to escape life's complexities, but to meet it fully aligned. Aligned with truth, aligned with conscience, aligned with divine presence, aligned with the responsibility to live that truth in action. The Hebrew prophets, the New Testament apostles, and the Buddhist monastics all agree on this point. What you remember determines how you live. Prayer and meditation are two paths to the same sacred remembering. They are reminders that you are not here by accident, that your thoughts, your words, and your deeds matter, and that the highest form of prayer, of communion, of contemplation, of meditation, of being, of awareness, the highest form is the one that continues even after you say Amen, or Shanti, or Amitofo. So thank you for your time, and have yourself a wonderful day.